Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the absolutely wild, high-stakes origins of a literary masterpiece from 18th century India. We are going to explore a historical event that perfectly blends absolute, unwavering devotion, a terrifying life or death wager, and the creation of a legendary spiritual text. All right, let's dive right into this fascinating story.
So let me ask you a question. Would you risk hanging over a blazing fire just because you got the lunar calendar wrong? It sounds completely unbelievable, right? But that's exactly where we're starting. Picture this dramatic scene. A man is suspended on a swing made of exactly 100 individual ropes, dangling precariously over a roaring inferno, and he is willingly cutting those ropes one by one, risking a fiery death, all to prove his sanity to a king.
Part 1. The Transcendent Madman.
To understand why anyone would be up on that fiery swing, we need to talk about a concept called nishtha. It's basically a transcendental state of directly experiencing and enjoying God. Our main guy here is Abirama Battar. He was a devotee living in the town of Thirukadavur in Tamil Nadu, and he was fiercely dedicated to goddess Abirami. By the way, the name Abirami literally translates to she who is attractive every moment of time. Battar's devotion was so intense, just so all-consuming, that locals actually suspected him of practicing evil rites and basically dismissed him as a madman. Well, sometime between 1777 and 1832, King Serfoji II, who ruled over Tanjore, visited the temple. When he arrived, he found Battar completely lost in this blissful state of nishtha. Hearing the locals whisper about this caposal lunatic, the king decided to just casually test the guy's mental status for himself.
Part 2. A Deadly Lunar Mistake.
So, the king walks up to Battar and casually asks for the Thithi, the current lunar phase. It was just a simple question, probably meant to snap the guy back to reality, but man, did it set up a tragic clash of realities. For King Serfoji, it was the month of Thai, mid-January, and it was Amavasya, a pitch-black new moon night. But Battar, he was completely absorbed in his blissful vision of the radiant goddess, just bathed in her divine light. So he confidently answers that it was Purnami, a full moon. Hearing this completely wrong answer, the king just walks away laughing to himself, totally convinced that the man was indeed a complete lunatic for seeing a full moon on a dark new moon night.
Part 3. Trial Above the Fire.
When Battar finally snapped out of his deep trance, he realized his massive mistake. But here's the thing. In his spiritual worldview, this wasn't just a simple slip of the tongue. For a realized soul, a jnani, their word should absolutely never be wrong at any time. If his word was wrong, it meant his entire spiritual experience was a lie. Fearing he was just hallucinating this whole time, he decided to face the ultimate consequence. He sets up a terrifying trial. He builds a swing suspended by exactly 100 ropes. Right below it, he builds a massive roaring fire. He vows to sing songs in praise of goddess Abirami, and for every single song he completes, he'll cut off one rope. If he was truly a fraud, well, the ropes would run out, and he would fall straight into the fire.
Part 4. The Ear Stud Miracle.
Imagine the scene. A huge crowd gathers in town to watch this utterly terrifying spectacle. The tension is just through the roof. He sings a verse, cuts a rope. Sings another, cuts another. Down to 90 ropes, down to 80 ropes, getting closer and closer to the flames. He miraculously survives 78 songs, but at the exact moment he finishes the 79th song, with barely any ropes left holding him above the inferno, the goddess Abirami finally appears before him.
And here is where it gets legendary. The goddess actually takes her thadangye, her ear stud, and hurls it straight into the night sky. Instantly, that tiny ear stud manifests as this massive, glowing full moon right in the middle of a pitch-black new moon night. Everyone in the town, including King Serfoji, witnessed this impossible celestial event. By literally turning her jewelry into a glowing moon, she altered the cosmos just to ensure her devotee's word was true. She proved to the king, once and for all, that Battar was a true jnani, a fully realized soul.
Part 5. The Endless Anthathi Chain.
After pulling off this literal miracle, the goddess tells Battar to go ahead and finish his poem, but, thankfully, without cutting any more ropes. Filled with this incredible divine grace, he completes what becomes a monumental 100-verse masterpiece, the Abirami Andhathi. This incredible work not only saved his life from the fire and earned him major respect from King Serfoji, but it also secured a lasting legacy. The king actually donated land to Battar, and amazingly, his descendants are still enjoying those land gifts today. But beyond all that, it became an absolutely legendary spiritual text.
But the absolute genius of this text is in how it's built. It's written in a highly specific style of poetry called Anthathi. Think of it like a chain. The very last word of one song literally becomes the first word of the next one. It's an end-start continuous loop. This unique linguistic structure acts as a brilliant, perfect metaphor for his continuous, unbroken cycle of devotion to the goddess. There is no beginning and no end. Every single thought leads directly into the next thought of her.
Part 6. Verses of Ultimate Surrender.
Let's look at how he actually translated this fiery ordeal into poetry. Right out of the gate in the first verse, Battar paints this picture of the goddess's massive cosmic scale and her blinding radiant beauty. He says, "She who has the reddish sun as a talaka, she who is like the tender bud of pomegranate, she only is my life's all help." He compares her to the sun, to red gems, to lightning. It's exactly this overwhelming radiance that completely blinded him to the king's earthly reality of a dark night.
Then, by verse 10, he just perfectly captures the obsessive, non-stop nature of his faith. He writes, "Standing, sitting, lying and walking, I think and worship your lotus-like feet." You can totally see why the townspeople thought he was losing his mind, right? He wasn't really participating in normal, everyday life. His mind was entirely anchored to his devotion in a continuous loop, kind of exactly like that Anthathi structure we just talked about.
As we get near the end of the 100 verses, keeping in mind he just survived a literal trial by fire and witnessed a cosmic miracle, we see this absolute, total surrender. He sings, "Good even if it comes, or bad even if it comes, is all the same for me. Have I not given all that I have to thee?" He fully accepts whatever fate the fire, the king, or the goddess would ultimately hand him, because he's already given everything over to her.
So, I want to leave you with a pretty profound question to chew on. When a devotee's inner vision is that strong, can it actually change the sky itself? The story of the Abirami Andhathi challenges us to really think about the boundaries between absolute belief and the physical reality we see around us every day. It's a powerful reminder of how the most meticulously structured art can be born from the most chaotic and terrifying moments of human experience. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and definitely keep exploring the incredible stories hidden behind these historical texts.